All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're tackling a seriously fascinating personality trait. You know that feeling when a major project goes completely off the rails? The deadline's looming, the client's fuming, and everyone's kind of panicking? Well, who steps up? Today, we're talking about the command theme. This is a characteristic that doesn't just survive when the pressure's on, it absolutely thrives. If you've ever wondered who instinctively takes charge when everything else is falling apart, you're in exactly the right place.
Comfortable in the driver's seat. I love this metaphor. It perfectly anchors how we need to think about the command theme. It really highlights this natural, almost instinctual comfort with taking responsibility, setting a firm direction, and getting people moving. Think about being on a crazy road trip. The GPS suddenly dies, a storm rolls in. While most folks might instinctively look for the passenger seat, hoping someone else will figure it out, the person with command is already grabbing the steering wheel. They don't just tolerate the responsibility, they actually crave it when it's needed most.
Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We're going to look at being in the driver's seat, unpack the command superpower, explore the shadow side, look at how to fuel this theme, and finally compare command versus other themes. Section 1. In the driver's seat. Let's establish exactly what we mean when we talk about this specific strengths-based trait. So, originating from the SwitchOn Strengths framework, which is all about discovering, activating, and thriving, this theme is really about unearthing your natural leadership tendencies, especially during times of intense tension. It's about recognizing that true leadership, it isn't just a title slapped on a business card, right? For some people, it's a hardwired, visceral response to their environment. When a gap in leadership suddenly appears, they literally cannot help but fill it. Let's break down the actual definition here. Command is about naturally taking charge and stepping into leadership during uncertainty, making decisions, and bringing clarity to situations. Imagine a massive system outage at work. Everyone's just staring at their screens, totally frozen, terrified of making the wrong move. When others are paralyzed by that fear of failure, the command theme cuts right through the noise. They assess, they decide, and they create direction out of pure chaos. Decisive, assertive, persuasive, driven, influential. Look at these words. They are definitely not passive. Individuals with strong command talents naturally project an immense amount of confidence and authority. They're the ones who will, without hesitation, call out the uncomfortable truth in a meeting. They challenge others toward honesty, action, and resolution. They just don't shy away from hard facts, because honestly, to them, avoiding reality is just a massive waste of time. And because of that extreme directness, their communication style is absolutely unmistakable. Their words carry serious weight. They communicate with absolute authority, clarity, and confidence. You'll notice this instantly in a crisis because they speak directly and decisively to influence action. No filler words, no beating around the bush, and definitely no apologies for taking a firm stance. They speak to resolve things, which ends up saving the team hours of pointless circular debate. Section 2. The command superpower. This is where we get to explore the immense value they bring to a team, often referred to as being on the balcony. So operating on the balcony means they are at their absolute best. They bring courage and confidence that acts like a solid, stabilizing force for everyone else. They offer emotional clarity and decisiveness, resolving confusion when ambiguity is just dragging a project down. But here's the real kicker. They bring the courage to confront difficult issues directly. Every organization has elephants in the room, right? Those massive issues everyone pretends not to see. Well, the command theme doesn't just acknowledge the elephant. It walks right up and addresses it head on. And that allows everyone else to finally breathe a sigh of relief and just move forward. But we have to pause for a second and ask a really critical question. What happens when command goes unmanaged? Every superpower has a shadow side, and we really need to look at what occurs when this intense, assertive drive gets overused or placed in the wrong context. Section 3. The shadow side. Let's explore the duality of these traits and then take a step down into what is known as the basement. This perfectly illustrates the tension built into the command theme. When they're up on the balcony, they lead with certainty and inspire confidence. It's magnetic. People naturally want to follow someone who knows exactly where they're going. But down in the basement, that exact same drive transforms. It becomes controlling, bossy, or deeply intimidating. When it goes unmanaged, that brilliant desire to create clarity can easily morph into an overpowering need for control. Suddenly, a visionary leader turns into a micromanager who alienates their own team. And this leads to some very specific and often entirely unintentional blind spots. Because they naturally communicate so strongly, they can totally intimidate others without even realizing it. They might speak before hearing other perspectives, overpower quieter personalities in the room, struggle to invite genuine collaboration, or just assume leadership without asking anyone. They're moving so incredibly fast toward a solution that they just forget to check if the rest of the team is still in the car. They look in the rearview mirror and realize, whoops, they're driving completely alone. Section 4, fueling the command theme. The crucial point here is figuring out how to actually manage and fuel this strength effectively so it stays firmly planted on that balcony. People with this theme don't just want to lead, they absolutely thrive when given the true freedom to lead. They need an environment that actually utilizes their initiative, especially in challenging high-stakes situations. That's where their rapid decisiveness is an incredible asset, not a liability. To get the absolute best out of someone with the command theme, you have to provide environments with very specific structural needs. You need to give them opportunities to take charge, but crucially, with clear expectations and direction right from the start. They need the freedom to express their opinions openly. Remember, they value direct truth over polite fiction. They need complex, challenging situations to solve. If you put them in a stagnant environment where nothing ever changes and bureaucracy rules the day, they will literally go crazy. But give them a massive crisis to manage alongside a team ready to take action, and they will absolutely shine. Section 5, Command versus Other Themes. Let's move into our final section and see how this all builds when we contrast command with other personality types. This is essential knowledge if you want to avoid team friction. The philosophical difference here is instantly digestible. Let's look at command versus harmony. Command is motivated by decisive action and creates clarity through polarization. Basically, they aren't afraid to draw a line in the sand and say, we are going this way, not that way, and here is exactly why. Harmony, on the other hand, creates consensus through harmonization. They want to ensure everyone's voice is blended into the final path. You can immediately see how these two might spectacularly clash in a boardroom, right? Command prioritizes conviction, whereas harmony prioritizes relational sensitivity. Now consider command versus empathy. This highlights another really fundamental difference. People are drawn to a command leader because they know exactly what this individual thinks. There is zero ambiguity about their stance. But people are drawn to an empathy leader because they know that individual understands how they feel. One is anchored in unshakable leadership clarity. The other is rooted in deep emotional resonance. When you're building a highly effective, diverse team, you absolutely need both of these traits. But you have to actively manage the friction that naturally pops up between them. Understanding these contrasts is the absolute key to unlocking the true potential of the command theme within any organizational structure. It's all about recognizing that their trademark directness, that's a dedicated tool for clarity, not a personal attack. When an entire team understands this dynamic, the command individual stops being seen as abrasive. Instead, they become the ultimate asset, the tip of the spear for pushing through massive barriers and achieving really difficult goals. Which brings us to our final thought today. Ultimately, managing this incredible strength comes down to asking yourself or your team this one vital question. Are you driving the team forward, or are you just running them over? The answer to that question determines whether you're leading powerfully from the balcony or trapped way down in the basement. So as you head into your next high-stakes meeting, ask yourself, who holds the steering wheel, and what happens when they hit the gas?